Yes. Good night, everyone. It's going to be 7 p.m. over here. Hope everybody's having a good day, pretty nice, prosperous day they have. I know everybody made money and, only blessings come through. So let's stay positive. Um, we're going to do some studying. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do some studying with y'all this time. Like, I know a lot, and it's like a lot of things from the world we come from, it can't be proven, and it can't be spoken, and it can't be translated. And so we give a good example of it in stuff like the Emerald Tablets. But before we get started, let me play my little music, and then we're gonna get into like a little reading of it so that everybody could get an understanding. So let me play my little song. This song is something I made. It's me actually on it rapping. And the thing with this song is it's about the Emerald Tablet and not the sense of how we read it and how we see it. It's the Emerald Tablet as initiation took place of the soul. Meeting my astral self, my other bodies, the Cyrus beings, going into the dragon and meeting God. All of this is an actual event that took place inside of me, and I wanted to actually share it, but it's deeper. So we're gonna start off by just listening to my little intro song, but it's a song about my whole experience. So you could check out the words; it's real. Back to the future. Back to the future, 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 back to the future. Can you give back what you take? Or are you the snake that suffered from your own mistake? You move the mountains, but you cause the earth to quake. You breathe the fire, but you also cause tidal waves. You your own karma, servant and slave. You work for hire, hoping one day to retire. You quit your God and now you sold your fire. I tell you the truth and you call me a liar. Your ego is blameless and shameless. Bloody hands always look stainless. Some of us is the devil in red dress, selling out our soul for success. You look like you're going somewhere, but your soul will never progress. You could have done more by doing less. Nowadays I hear bleeps and flatline. The sounds of fax machine, America's online. It's through the ear they're programming our mind. This is premeditated, it's the grand design. That's because deep down inside, where our ego hide, all humans being desires is to shine. My demons was my tutor, they took me back to the future. We ascended past Buddha with ganja in my mouth. Down the Ganges River with Jesus headed south. The great dragon piggybacking in the paddy wagon, flying like Aladdin. We ascended past Gandhi, sitting like Buddha. Xbox style, first game shooter. Neapolitan ruler, sitting on the throne. I watched the prodigal son come home with doves all around. Dragons in the background, the hat man in the dark. Anubis was weighing the heart, the war of hardest love. Unity ruined my ego in me. It took me on a journey back to being, back to seeing. Twice born, I got rid of believing for reason. The meek inherited the earth, and they was possessed by the government and the church. The gods held me at their grip. There was nothing I could do to help. I dropped to my knees and wept as the God said, save yourself. Back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future, back to the future. Got me nervous. Going back to the future. A star was born and it ascended on my lawn. A blue flame orb with the appearance of a warrior who was a lord. He said he worked for God. The fact I saw him and he saw me, I was soul to soul, me and my eye. He wanted to take me on a ride, but I told him I couldn't fly. He said, close your eyes. He said he was a Cyrus master. We're gonna body double and go into astral. The first place was the underworld, where men's are girls, beings are hermaphrodites. The guys down there like to argue and fight. They sleep all day and party all night. There's no loyalty, but they're God's chosen purple royalty. They test the desires of men and turn you against you and your family, and also you against your friends. Their purpose is to deprogram you from your mental implants so that human beings could evolve and advance. These are the mysteries. The Joker juggled them like ancient history. Isis is unveiled while the dragon whips her tail, sliding down the emerald tablet of Thoth, a raider of the lost ark, recovering souls that's lost. Life is like the... All right. Now, I want to break down something that everybody can understand real quick before we get started. This is the image too. I love this image. This is the image of the Emerald Tablet of Thoth. And this is very important for us to understand this image because this is really what's going on, and it's hidden. It's something that nobody really talk about. So for us to understand here what's really going on, you got to pay attention to detail. You see the one eye right here, and this one eye got the cat slit in it, representing not just the one eye of Ra or what we see it as. The one eye is representing God. It's the same thing that John said he saw when he went into meditation in the Revelation. The reptilian, as we can see, or the cat eye, is always the symbol of our Most High, or who's in charge. And now on top of him, you see Thoth is representing a different type of aspect. You don't see two legs, you only see one leg, right? Everything he's trying to show you is only from the right path. The right side is full, while the left side is missing a leg. And so he's showing you something and telling you something that they're from the right side, the right hemisphere, the south gate. This is the parallel world. You know, the right side controls the left side. So you got to understand, a lot of left-handed people is right-minded. So you know this is what it means. You have the Ankh right here. This is symbolizes the magnetic field, the unity of feminine and masculine energy in one, and the Merkaba dodecahedron is actually what you're looking at in light, the particle with the, as you can see over here, the wheel. This would be a chakra up here, or what we call the wheel of Ezekiel, whichever way you want to call it. It's the same. You see it in Sumerian symbolism. It's the Merkaba right here. This is what we fly around in. What goes into the Merkaba? Your consciousness. Only your consciousness fly. But you see who's your father? This is your father right here, the one eye. We represent the one eye. You don't have two eyes. You're two separate people. One on your left and one on your right. The one on your right is who we are. The one on the left is not of us. So you got to understand yourself first. And so before we get into the Emerald Tablet, if you don't understand that image right here, you wouldn't be able to understand what the Emerald Tablet is telling you about you. Because it's about the duality within yourself and also your true origin, your space history, your celestial history. This is what this is about when we're talking about celestial stuff. So on that note, you will understand now more of what's going on in the Emerald Tablet. And you know, we represent stuff like this sphere. We always talk, you always hear me talk about the ring, the circle. And this is the Merkaba represented again. You can see that it's the Megan shield, the double triangle, one up, one down. But it also symbolizes worlds inside worlds inside worlds, which is what one chakra is, one subatomic particle of light. And so you travel through these. These is all the symbology of what this is showing you. You see it over here. This is the same thing. This is all light. And you see the chakras. I tell you how it starts off with one circle. And as you push in, more pops out till you make this beautiful circle of life flower. Over here, the flower, the feather symbolizes the magnetic field. You always know because they put magnetic lines going down it, vertically like that, to symbolize the magnetic field. You know the stalk, or that bird. Oops, I lost it. Hold on. That bird symbolizes life, regeneration, because it bursts itself. Okay, we lost that. But now, when we're here to discuss like the Emerald Tablets, and so it will help us understand what's really going on a lot more, because we got a pseudo way of looking at everything, and the way we see it is not the actual truth. And so if you will understand the actual Emerald Tablet itself, then you will be able to comprehend this world more easier. So let me see. I'm gonna give you the Emerald Tablet. I'm trying to pull it up real quick because I had actually all right, Tablet 1. We're gonna start off with Tablet 1. I found it. Okay, and I'm gonna break it down as we go along. So I'm using the basic internet. I'm not even going to no personal book because let me see who's the translator of this. Collier is the one that is the best translation, but they all really say the same thing, you know. Okay, starting on page one, you know, if you got yours, I'll give you some time to go to any website. You know, you could actually type in Emerald Tablet and then type in PDF, and you should get a link to any of these PDFs of Emerald Tablet if you want, and then you could just click on one. Basically, they all say the same thing. It's really about understanding it, perceiving it. All right. I'm gonna be jumping around too in this. This is like research. We're studying. You know, this is not just actually me reading it. If you just wanted to hear an e-reader read it straight to you, you know, there's plenty of other YouTube videos that do that, or you could just get an e-reader and just PDF read it. Well, I'm gonna break it down to you so you have greater understanding. You know, back to I want to show you too. This crystal here. You see the eye? The eye of Ra is right here. See it on this crystal? So it's to show you that it's real. It's the eye right here. So hold on, it's not coming in clear. Here, let me put my hand over it so you can see. There you go. You see the eye now? It's the eye of Ra right there. Turn it upside down, but you know. Alright, now. It says, I, Thoth the Atlantean, master of mysteries, keeper of records, mighty king, magician, living from generation to generation, being about to pass into the halls of Amenti, set down for the guidance of those that are to come after, these records of the mighty wisdom of great Atlantis. So you get to see, Thoth is not just like no regular human being, you understand? This is actually a person who went through different initiations, because he says he's master of mysteries. And so there's stuff here we don't know. Mysteries. The same like how Jesus says it's the mysteries. He never told us nothing. You know, if we following Jesus, we'll be lost. Because he tell you I talk in parables. So it's the same thing here. When you start to read about Thoth, he's talking to you in a parable way, but you're one in your genetics. What he's giving you is a word that unfolds inside of you, and a whole world is revealed to you. And that now will make it very important to understand intelligence and the genius, and to activate yourself. Self-activation is in books. It's in literature, because you could say, why did Alexander the Great destroy all the scrolls and all the temples? Because of the information written in them. And so without these information, we're lost. But you got to understand why now. So you have to not just think you can use your knowledge of yourself or what's going on today to navigate it, because you got star beings that is actually taking over inside of us, making us think what we want, following our desires. So anyways, you get to see that from the beginning there's mysteries, and he's keeper of these records. He's a mighty king and magician, living from generation to generation. All of this just means that actually he went through all the initiations. These initiations ain't initiations that we made up or is a part of a secret society or Illuminati. It's actually your soul, your body, how your body works. If you understand it, you will know these different stages of yourself that's played out in a deck of tarot cards. If you look at a deck of tarot cards, the highest card is the Fool. The Fool is the highest, followed by what, the Magician, and so forth down, because those symbolize a different aspect of yourself. You got a whole bunch of sheath bodies, and for you to leave yourself, or to leave during death, or to survive death and not reincarnate over, you would have to know this information. So this is why he worded in the way that he's saying, mighty king, magician, living from generation to generation. So he's telling you he's immortal. Being about to pass into the halls of Amenti is very important for you to understand what the halls of Amenti is. And I'm going to leave sometime to go to another book to show you what the halls of Amenti is, because, you know, if you want to know, Admiral Byrd went into the halls of Amenti. Admiral Byrd, you want to know about the halls of Amenti, it's real. Look into Admiral Byrd. And so in the great city of Kor, Keor, on the island of Undal, Undal, In a time far past I began this incarnation, not as the little men of the present age did, the mighty ones of Atlantis lived and died, but rather from eons to eons did they renew their life in the halls of Amenti, where the river of life flows eternally onward. All right, I'm gonna stop at the end of every verse. You know, if you're just coming in, like I said, you just go to any internet and download. I mean, type in Emerald Tablet PDF, and you will see a PDF version of the Emerald Tablet come up, and you could read along, and we could get understanding, because that would be the only way that you could read this and actually perceive it and with understanding. You know, so I'm up to the first part, and I'm just reading the second little verse. Now, I'm going to break that down to you so you have greater understanding. He says, in the great city of Kior, on the island of Undal. Well, you see, everybody that does this now has to isolate themselves to tap in. So he's giving you a great example, just like how John is in the Bible saying that he was, yes, John Benjamin, peace and blessings, how he said he was on the island of Patmos as he translated Revelation. It's the same thing. He says he's in a great city of Kir on the island. So the island is very important. Just look at the island as you under meditation in a higher self. So that's the only place that you could go, because that's your true self. You're not really here. You're someplace hidden on an island projecting yourself. So for you to understand this, that's the same like John has says. Everybody who wrote these, Peter, Paul, whoever, they was on some type of isolation in prison, in a great place. Even look at Hitler when he wrote Mein Kampf, he was in prison. So all these is a symbolization of being on the island. And if you don't understand it, I'm putting you on because you're going to see it symbolically in a lot of stories and a lot of things. And it has a spiritual meaning, a metaphysical meaning. And that's the metaphysical meaning. And so he says, in the great city of Kior on the island, which is the key word of Undal, in a time far past, I began this incarnation, right? So he been started to come alive, to be awake. He was always here, but not as himself. And so when you understand it, he says, not as the little men of the present age did. The mighty ones of Atlantis lived and died. So this is very understand. You have to understand what he means when he says the mighty ones of Atlantis live and die. And so this will tell you now, you're talking Atlantis being something like chaos energy. It's not actual how we see it today. We're trying to live and not die. He says live and die, meaning it's a constant evolution because you can't die. Just like when he tells you he's entering the halls of Amenti, meaning he's passing away, he's going to death. And that's where he gets his knowledge from. But they love the fact of dying. They respected dying, just like how you read the matriarchs of all the forefathers or whatever. They let the lions eat them or something. They was following the true teaching of Thoth. And this is how we're supposed to live. Fear is not nothing more than us fearing death. And the killer of death is fear itself. You only die because you have fear in you. And that's the only thing that is killing us. So once we get rid of fear, death goes away. You understand? So this will help you understand. That's why he says the mighty ones of Atlantis live and die. Because they know they can't die. They come right back. So take that into account, that live and die is a key word. But rather from eon to eon did they renew. See, the next sentence he tells you. So they renew by dying. It's actually part of alchemy. And I'm not talking in the sense, yes, physically too, because even if you look at when the South fought the North, it was one of the most brutalest war in the world, and it took place in that big field, and the people just charged each other with bayonets, and they didn't concern themselves with life or death. They just concerned themselves with emancipation and the truth, emancipation of their soul and their principles. And so you got to understand that overrides everything. That now we just comfortable going to work and coming home. We don't venture out of ourselves, and we don't know more about ourselves than what the internet or TV is telling us. So we wouldn't perceive everything on a whole when you hear somebody talking about living and dying and transformation and going through, the processes for renewal, such as change. And that's a form of living and dying, the same like the four seasons, how the trees die. Nothing stays fixed, and that's what nature messages to everybody symbolically, that you're supposed to have bad times and good times. With the bad times is the teacher of the good times. When you're in good times, you're not very conscious. You just having fun. You playful. You less prone to understand somebody else's emotional state or have empathy. But when you're going through hard times, you're more open. You're more humble. And so those is your death and rebirth that brings about a new you, the phoenix. So continuing on, he says, not as the little men of the present age did, the mighty ones of Atlantis live and die, but rather from eon to eon did they renew their life in the halls of Amenti, where the river of life flows eternally onward. And so once you realize that you can't die, and there is an eternal river of flow that flows onward, and the halls of Amenti, as we go into this, is going to be a dark, scary place, but it's your home. It's the same as closing your eyes and going to sleep. That's why you don't stay here 24 hours with your eyes open. The Father made it on purpose. And in here, Thoth got a name for him, and we're going to see it. And you may just say you stay here for a few hours, but you have to go to sleep for 8 hours at least. And that's not sleep, and you don't sleep. You unconsciously put the body into a state where it's paralyzed, and your consciousness go back to the other side to get lessons, because we're constantly upgrading this matrix we're in, and it's through us that everything is done. We're the spirits, we're the stars, we're the beings, we're Thoth, we're Isis, we're Horus, but we're just not conscious of what our subconscious is doing. So this will help you understand more. All right, so on to the next one. He says, 100 times 10 have I descended the dark way that led into the light. As many times have I ascended from the darkness into the light, my strength and power renewed. And so right here, it gives you a great example of what's inside the halls of Amenti and what's the purpose of life and death. Because he says 100 times 10 have I descended the dark way. So you got to understand, he purposely takes the dark way that led into the light. So for you to be able to understand the light, if you stay in the light, you're not going to see the light. You're not going to respect the light. You're going to take the light for granted. But as you venture into the dark way, you'll see the light always at the end of the tunnel. But you will respect it now because you see there's two sides, like a yin and yang to everything. And so it brings balance about into your psychology. That's the importance of understanding. When he said 100 times 10, I have descended the dark way that led into the light. And as many times have I ascended from the darkness. So you see, our time in darkness is only a period, because you have to ascend back to the light. But you have to go to the darkness to have your lessons and to learn. And he says, I ascended from the darkness into the light, my strength and power renewed. So it's actually now a renewal process, of a form of alchemy, where you go purposely to pay your respects to your higher selves, which is for us a dark light. Like looking into space, you see space as dark, but to the soul it's light. It's opposites. We live in an opposite world where you have one zodiac go this way and the other zodiac go that way. What's good in this world is really bad in that world, and what's bad in that world is really good in this world. So if you don't understand that theory, you would superficially chase the good and don't understand the bad, which is a balance of yin and yang. Jesus said it when he said, let the weeds grow with the harvest and pull them all up at the end. That's when we have harvest. So you can't take out the bad. You can't take away night and only have day. You can't take away the sea and only have earth. Everything is perfectly balanced between good and bad. The good is always going to follow the bad. No, the bad is always going to follow the good, because it teaches the good to be good. And the bad will always remain bad because they see the good. And some people rebel towards the bad so it has existence. So it's a balance within yourself of your right and your left hemisphere. And that's why we don't have one hemisphere, one single brain. Our brain is divided into two parts, like you have a right side and left side. This side of your brain controls this side of your body. This side of your brain controls this side of your body. When I showed you the picture of Thoth, he has only his right side of his body. He don't show the left side because that's a different side for him. So you understand the right side controls the left side. So that's important to know your path is on one side, but those sides is going to balance to make one brain, one hemisphere that you see as far as Akhenaten, Tutankhamun, Nefertiti, their skull fused to one piece. And that's our job here as far as ascension. So those is ascended beings. They're not aliens. That's just the alchemical process that takes place. All right, so now he says, now from a time I descended, and the men of Chem is alchemically in ancient Egypt, shall know me no more. Okay, let me read that again. Now for a time I descended, and then the men of Chem shall know me no more. All right, they saying Chem is alchemy in ancient Egypt. All right, so this is what he's saying. Once we enter into our chemistry and we learn the biophysiology of the body, like how everybody studied the body. You see the Temple of Karnak. You see the Greeks with the statues and the bust. The body is a chemical plant, and inside the body is where all these biochemistry and a virtual reality of this reality exists. And the one inside your body is the originator of the one outside. Whatever happens inside of you, that's what controls the weather, the storms. That's why the government purposely induced, false flag situations to cause us to react a certain way. So we give off a certain vibration to actually make these atmosphere and these things occur. All right, so he says, but in time, yet unborn, I will raise again, mighty and potent, requiring an accountant of those left behind me. Then beware, O men of Chem, if ye have falsely betrayed my teaching, for I shall cast ye down from the higher estate into the darkness of the caves from where ye came. And so you got to understand, this is very important. I'm going to read it from the way he goes back from. He said, now for a time I descend, and the men of Chem shall know me no more. But in time, yet unborn, will I rise again, mighty and potent, requiring an account for those that left behind me. Then beware, O men of Chem, if ye have falsely betrayed my teaching. You see, right there, it's very important for you to understand. It's where your priests come from. They get the knowledge from something else, somebody else. Let's say Thoth, right? But for you to get into this teachings, it's very secret, because you could look at the world as like there's two parts to it. You have the day side of the life, the 9 to 5, your kids go to school, soccer moms, you feed the kids about 6, 7, and watch a few shows, Law and Order and all that, and it's bedtime to repeat the process. But aside from that, you got detectives undercover, you got the Bloods, Crips, you got the Serenos doing night and evening things. That's when they come alive. When you're going in and going to bed, another side starts to awaken, the night side, the underworld. And a lot of us is not exactly, we're ignorant to it. And you got the feds, the CIA, the FBI, those are other worlds. And those exist, and they play a part in everything that's going on, but we don't see it. So when we talking about betrayal of like certain teachings, people know about both worlds. Look at those now in like a physical world and a parallel world. But the parallel world, we're talking about where the CIA, the Latin Kings, all these people is at the night scene. It's secret. It's not secret because we don't want people to know about it. It's secret because it contradicts the day world. It actually is a contradiction. Like everything good over here is bad over here, but they see it differently. And so that's how life is in the physical world. If you look deep into everything, it's a contradiction of everything. There is a night side to everything. So in these teachings that he said don't falsely betray, entering into the world of Thoth and Chem, you learn that there's a thin line called the middle path, but the right and the left is a polar opposite. And I'll give you an example. Say for instance, in this world, you might say that man and woman only supposed to have sex. In that world, you have men and men having sex, women and women having sex. So you said, this is evil, this is wrong, you look at this. But then you never really studied Hermetic science or your biophysiology, knowing that when I told you your right hemisphere and your left hemisphere is of two different worlds, these two different worlds is also replicated as positive and negative, male and female, masculine and feminine. So you have already in you a man and a woman in one body. And so women's are more psychic in nature. They seek mental. Men is more analytical. They use their right side of their brain. And so men don't do much more than follow instructions. Women are more intuitive, psychically connecting, and can see in between the lines. For a man, he has to get in touch with his feminine side, not feminine in his expression in the physical world, feminine in his intuitiveness and thinking, so he could match a woman, because a woman mentally outwits a man. Not saying outwit her, but he becomes very boring to her, and it's not about the substance that could touch her true nature. While a man, he just know how to be, the warrior, the hero, the gangster, these things that require physical things. So the woman herself don't have nothing to hold on to as far as now her balance, because she's know from her past she's already a man, because she fight for her not getting raped, molested, fight for giving birth. So she encompassed her man side already. So you notice her character by nature is masculine. The female is a masculine, and the male is feminine. That's just our polarity. But inside the man is a woman, and inside the woman is a man. That is more projecting out. This is under the moon as a wax and wine, 14 days of Osiris and 14 days of Isis, to give us the 28 days cycle of the woman's menstrual. Now, all of this you have to understand is within one body, and this one body is the sphere, the chakra. And so if you first coming into awakening, you do first have to come into those terms that you're not a woman and you're not a man. You're a being. So when you did see those two men kissing, you didn't see two men kissing. You saw two androgynous beings, two gods. They're both woman and man in one. He's both woman and man in one. So you can't call him a man and you can't call him a woman. It's just what your eyes perceive and what our world taught us as far as how they educated us. They educated us wrong. And so when you understand this, it makes it easier to see, not saying, we got to make it clear, homosexuality is correct, because we're talking about the balance of energies, masculine and feminine, polarities, or yin and yang. That's what we're talking about. When you take it now into a sexual aspect of itself, it takes on a different tone. So I'm not getting involved in a sexual way, but it is right for a man to balance out his energies within himself. Once he do that, he becomes psychic. Once he becomes psychic, he'll be able to understand the emerald tablets. Just like a woman could understand it if she could slow her material mind down to absorb the true meaning and absorb the true spiritual words he's trying to say. But the material man is not going to really get it till he get in touch with his psychic self. But he needs it for him to leave his body. And that's a whole nother journey of distraction, why they distract you so you can reincarnate, and don't activate yourself. So when he's saying his teachings is to know both worlds and what they mean, and not be afraid, and to be able to reiterate it, just like how Paul says, I feed you milk, but there's meat and but I feed you milk. You know that statement. So he's watering it down and not giving you the truth. The true teachings is the truth, which is Egyptian teachings. I'm revealing the truth to y'all so you can understand it, because this is said in the Aquarian age, is the age of revelation, where all truths will be revealed. So I hope you understand now. So now when he says, for I shall cast ye down from your higher state into the darkness of the caves from whence you came, it's very important for us to realize we came from these caves, we came from beasts. You're not truly you. What you are the 12 zodiacs. The 12 zodiacs is who you are. I showed you the body and how each zodiac symbol is on your body is chakras. So these is what makes you up. You don't know this until you die and they jump off of your skin, because that's what's controlling you through sensation. So when we learn Buddhism and we learn to leave the external world and stop externalizing our emotional state and our organs, we actually leave our five senses. So when you deal with this type of world, you have to hear to react. You have to see to react. You have to talk to react. And so you get into a state where you lose your creativeness and only be a reactor. So you just waiting. That makes you a robot or a cyborg. because you're waiting for a sensation to push up on your ear so you can react to it. So we live a life where you talk and I talk back. You say this and I say that. This person don't do that. You can't really correspond. It's like a matrix. It becomes a stalemate. And so you got to realize our true ancestors spoke psychically. And we lost that with language. And being that it's a five senses thing, we lose our creativeness because it's an inner thing. And if you don't have the inner creativeness, that's because you're more externalizing your experience here in this dimension. And in externalizing it, you forfeit your inner sphere, the tree of life. And so by you forfeiting your tree of life, you work off the conscious brain, and the conscious brain is a mirror. It uses the mirror neurons, like you're just pasted full of neurons, and so it mimics whatever your environment does that you admire or aspire to be. That's why you have reverence and want to be like your parents. Everything we do, we mirror, but that's only because we're using our conscious mind and not our tree of life, our true sphere. So once you understand you have an inner sphere, one love, Donna Suave, you have an inner sphere inside of you, the creator. Everybody become unique in their own creation and be able to create their own jobs, their own professions, their own clothesline, their own music, their own everything. That's being the artist. The artist is actually the original word, or artisan. If you Google it in Gnostic, that meant creator. And that's who you all are, creators. So Thoth is trying to teach you more about you and what you're doing inside. So let me continue. When we saying the darkness in the caves from whence we came, remember that. This is written in the Emerald Tablet that you came from the darkness in the cave. Greetings, Karima Ashiel. All right, so let me make sure everything is good here. All right, now it say, "Betray not my secrets to the men of the north or the men of the south, lest my cures fall upon you, my curse fall upon you." This is very important because here I am revealing the secrets to north, south, east, west. And I am going to suffer the curse, yes, indeed. But this is very important for you to understand. Betray not the secrets. Do y'all see my comments? Yo, Yoshi, what's up, man? I'm going to talk to you, man. I want you to pay attention to this one right here because this is very important to help you through your ascension. All right, so it say, "Betray not my secrets to the men of the north or the men of the south, lest my curse fall upon you." Now, this actually means that there is something hidden inside of you, and not all of us is going to activate. I can't lie. There's the men of the north and there's the men of the south, and there is difference between us that we keep secrets from each other. And these secrets is spiritual, not physical, because it's hidden inside of you. What's operating to make this world operate is a hidden force that is more living and alive than your 100 years on this earth. That's like a minute in their time. So we're just really pawns in a bigger chess game. But in it is your emancipation from this. You understand? And if you don't learn that you could free yourself, you will participate in just what you're experiencing and think it's real. So they had it purposely that there's the men from the north and the men from the south. Those are different spirits. And you have to realize who you are. So he said, "Remember and heed my words, for surely will I return again, and require of thee that which ye guard ye, even beyond time and beyond death will I return, rewarding or punishing as ye has requite your trust." So all of us, we have a covenant. We all have a secret covenant within ourselves that awaken us at a certain time in our life due to experience, being at a certain environment. It's called pops, kundalini pops, which is actually inside of you, which is psychic. And once that starts, that's when you start your agenda, your mission, or this covenant that he's talking about, that you remember and heed my words, for surely I will return again and require for thee that which ye guard. So you have something in you guard that you don't even know you're guarding it. And it's called the cube. All of us have a cube, a hidden cube inside of us. And this cube is the cube of Metatron. There's Merkaba. Metatron is the dodecahedron, but it's given to us through Saturn, through Jupiter. Jupiter is actually Thoth. Thoth, Jupiter, Jesus, they're all the same person. You got to break it down, and then you'll understand. I'm going to show it to you, because if you have time, I'm going to make sense out of everything that I'm saying. Okay, now we can keep it going. Great were my people in the ancient days, great beyond the concept of the little people now around me. So you see, they was greater people in the past. And he says, knowing the wisdom of old, seeking far within the heart of infinity, knowledge that belonged to earth's youth. Wise were we with the wisdom of the children of light who dwelleth among us. Strong were we with the power drawn from the eternal fire. So you see, wise were we with the wisdom of the children of the light who dwell among us. So you see, there's another group of people here. It's two groups of people here. Even though we all look alike, we all different. You got your Arcturians, you got your Egyptians or your Kemetics, you got your Moors. All of these is different sects that come from different peoples. And so the children of the light is the real ones. Some kind of being visited me in a dream some days ago and told me in waking and now, what? And told me I'm waking up now. Looking at my circumstance, I almost can't even believe that. That's real. You are waking up, brother. You've been waking up. It's just you yourself blocking it. Hopefully these will help you to assist you on your journey to wake and ascending. Okay, now he says, wise were we with the wisdom of the children of the light who dwelleth among us. Strong were we with the power drawn from the eternal fire. So you know there's an eternal fire that we're going to get more into. And that, keep in mind, children of the light. And of all these great amongst the children of men was my father, Thoth, Thotme, keeper of the great temple, link between the children of light who dwelt within the temple and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands. So I want to pause 1 second, because I want to actually get a different version of this, because I think, and Carla's, Dorel's, oh, this is Dorel. All right, so that is the right one. Let me go back then, because I want to make sure it's Dorel's version. Dorel is the actual one. So now, when we got, and of all these greatest amongst the children of men was my father, Thoth, keeper of the great temple. You got to understand this temple that he's referring to, and who there is a father. If you didn't know, we all have a father. And I'm gonna go for a second and pick up this book that I had sitting around. I just had bumped into it. I don't know if you ever saw it. This is old, you know, The Lost Keys of Freemasonry by Manly P. Right upon this page now, he also have the Emerald Tablet of Thoth, and this is the actual tablet right here. You see, and he has a translation of it, and it says, this is what it says. The tablet reads. It says, "It is true and no lie, certain and to no dependent upon, that the superior agrees with the inferior, and the inferior with the superior, to the effect that one truly wonderful work. All things owe their existence to the will of only one, so all things owe their origins to the only thing, the most hidden by the arrangement of the only God. The father of that one and only thing is the sun, SU1. Its mother is the moon. The wind carries it in the wings, but the nurse is a spirituous earth. The one only thing after God is the Father of all things in the universe. Its power is perfect after it has been united to a spirituous earth. Separate the spirituous earth from the dense or crude earth by means of gentle heat, with much attention. In great measure it ascends from the earth up to heaven and descends again, newborn on the earth, and superior and inferior and increased in power. By thou wilt partake of honors of the whole world, and darken will fly from thee. This is the strength of the all powers, which thou wilt be able to overcome all things and transmute all that is fine and all that is coarse. In this manner the world was created, but the arrangement of the follow this road are hidden. For this reason I came. Then it has a word. I don't want to say it's a long ass word. One in essence, but three in aspect. I say it again. He said he come one in essence, but three in aspect. And this Trinity is hitting the wisdom of the whole world. It is ended now that I have said concerning the effects of the sun. And that's what he says at the end. You see, concerning the effects of the sun. This is from the tablet. This is the whole translation. And this is the tablet right here. If you want to see for yourself, it reads right there. So we're dealing with the sun here. And excuse me, the truth of the matter is we was taught wrong about the sun, what it is. But what we're looking for is not the physical sun. It's light itself. What's in light? And once you understand what's in light, I'm going to do it in a series because you need to understand what's light and what's in light. And then you will understand more of why you see Egyptians holding their hands up, the symbolism, everything that's going on. All right, so I want you to understand now. I'm reading and he said, and of all these greatest amongst the children of men was my father, taught me, keep up the great temple, link between the children of light who dwell within the temple and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands. So you got the children of light who dwell within the temple and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands. And you see how everybody's on an island? You got to pay attention. I told you that's a key word. Check for island. And you check also there's this children of light and then there's the races of men. And then he said, mouthpiece after thee of the dwellers of Unal, speaking to the kings with the voice that must be obeyed. Grew I there from a child into manhood, being taught by my father the elder mysteries, until in time they grew within the fire of wisdom, until it burst into a consuming flame. So you got to understand, he was stuck now with his father, or locked in the bosom. I say it's a feeling of ecstasy once you get yourself connected, or what we call the philosopher's stone, the Holy Spirit. All of this is a Kundalini activation that if you survive the scary part of it, it's like you're in ecstasy. You're always feeling some type of drug flowing through your body. And a lot of people who connected with me and spoke to me on phone calls or video chats, they feel the energy that we exchange just over our talk. It's like they get this feeling. So it's like once you're able to get the philosopher's stone or the elixir coming on to you, it's that feeling now that actually locks you in, that we call being in the bosom. And once you're in there, intuition just starts flowing down to you, and you really don't want to move, and you're locked in till he's finished with you or whatever. Then you start your teachings. So it could take somebody who's, you could say, retarded, don't know nothing, lock him in the bosom, feed him the mana, feed him the philosopher's stone, and out come a genius. And that's your basic story of Tesla, Edison, all those people that you hear from those times. They knew about the science and they practiced it. And they read the Emerald Tablet. Now, he goes on to say now, speaking to the kings with a voice that must be obeyed. That's important because that's the psychic voice that's inside of you. Everybody have a voice as far as your zodiac sign. Your ruling sign talks to you as your intuition. So you got to understand you have something that governs you, that is over you, that tells you what to do. That's your ruling sign. So grew I there from a child into manhood, being taught by my father the elder mysteries, until in time they grew within the fire of wisdom, until it burst into a consuming flame. So right there you hear Kundalini being activated within him after you stay in the bosom, and that's what happens. You sit in there, it's a tantric system, yoga system. A lot of, like how you hear Hermes, he went into meditation and saw the dragon. Those is the steps. Just like John, when he says in the Bible, he was in the spirit on the island. When he say in the spirit, he went into meditation. Anytime you see that in the Bible, they was in meditation. And so they into their astral body. And I'm going to show you pictures of it so you understand. All right, so he goes now and say, grew I from a child into a man. Oh, I read that. He said, nor desire I the attainment of wisdom, until on a great day the command came from the dweller of the temple that I brought before him. Now, I want you to understand, there is a dweller of the temple. This dweller is really who we have to think about more than we worrying about a devil or something evil or a demon. It's the dweller that controls everything. and that's who his father is. So I hope you get to understand this now. So he says, grew I from a child into manhood, being taught by my father the elder mysteries until in time they grew within the fire of wisdom until it burst into a consuming flame. Nor desire I the attainment of wisdom until on a great day the command came from the dweller of the temple that I be brought before him. Few there were among the children of men who had looked upon his mighty face and lived. So here again, you get to hear like something from the Bible with Moses. Nobody seen God's face and lived. So he tell you, few there were among the children of men. So obviously he's from the children of men, and there's very few who have looked upon that face and lived. And so you get to see the children of the light is the elemental spirits that govern it, and those chosen is the children of men who they allow to go through these initiations to see into higher places. Now, I myself deal with the Father, and all I see is a big face. That's all. You don't see nobody. It's a big face. And just like he says, um, who have looked upon the mighty face and lived. And so that's all you see, a mighty face. You're traveling into the face. We call it the dragon. And so everybody else who's been in there, they come out and they're going to give you a different image of it, especially religions and the high priest of Egypt. Everybody covered it. They don't tell you the truth. That which you fear is God. That which you call scary, Freddy, Jason, all those stuff that's inside of you, that's not you who put it there. You're made from the source. It's like if you had your mother made you, you have your mother's ways. You have your mother's attributes. Everything about you come from your parents. So if God made us, we have all God ways, all God attributes. So you got to understand how this comes into play. You could call him Thoth or whatever you want. Thoth made you. You have all those attributes. So now this is where it comes into play now. Listen. He said, not desire the attain of wisdom until a great day that the command came from the dweller of the temple that I be brought before him. Few there were among the children of men who had looked upon that mighty face and lived. For not as the sons of men are children of light when they are not inclined in the physical body. So you see, the children of light when they are not incarnate in a physical body. So you see, you have two bodies. You have your physical body and a non-physical body. And so you will see, only way you could be able to see him is if you're in your non-physical body. So for you to see everything he's talking about, you have to switch off and know you have a second body. And let me see if I got something available right away that could show you your second bodies, your other bodies. I do. You know, I'm going to keep it going so that you have full understanding. And it's good to understand what you're reading and not just take everything for face value. So on that note, let me show you a few of what we just demonstrated so far. Now, this right here I'm showing you is actually the tree of life, right? But this tree of life is different. I want you to understand. I'm breaking it down on this very simply. You see, Ketha is Neptune. What's this? Chikmar, what's that? Yeah, Chikmar is Uranus. What's this? There we go. This is where we're from, Jupiter. You see Jupiter? This is Thoth, Jesus. You see how you get the word Jesus from his side? Take the H and put J there. What do you see? That's how they make up Jesus. Jesus or Zeus, all of them come from the same Hesad. This is Jupiter, the same god of the Ethiopian. This is Abyss. I'm putting you all on to now what you're looking at when you look at these circles. This is what? Let me see, I got a little Venus. And this is also now the crystals. The crystals is tied into them because the different shapes, the five platonic solids, they flow through your body as female and masculine, flashing around very fast. It rotates and oscillates into the five platonic solids. You want to see the rest. This is what's inside your core, your macabre. You see, this is your macabre, and it's all connected. Let me put these pictures up so you can see better. You see it? So this is what's inside of you as far as what we call the tree of life. But this is more simplified. using the planets that show you what influence each planet have over you. This is the male side of you, what we call your scrotums and your ovaries. The one is male, one is female. Isis on Osiris. As you can see, let me see what this tell you. This one is what? Masculine. This one is feminine. You see the shape, dodecahedron? This is where crystals come from. And crystals is in dimensions. If you know, like the calcite we're using, this calcite is three-dimensional. It only forms three dimensions. So this is the dimensional crystal for this dimension we're on. Three-dimensional crystal, calcite. So you got to understand this. All right. So aside from that, let me break down this. You see this right here? You're the eagle. But this is more important. This is one ray of light. That circle, the disc, is a chakra. This is a chakra, and inside the chakra is a whole world. Now, this is what you get to have to accumulate. All these symbols. You see the symbols inside of it? The scarab represent you, the beetle, and your transformations. You know the beetle go through a transformation. So this is you and your higher self. And that's the one that could go into a one ray of light, a part of K, a part of Chi element. The same thing here, you see it. This is you, this is still you, and this is how you get to you through the ray of light. Your chakra is up here. This is a chakra, and this is very small, equivalent to like a little orb. All right, the ram, and you see the person represent. This is all one person. This don't symbolize him, him, him. One person. Now, in here, this is one. This is the full, complete you. This is one person. This is you as the child, the mother, and the father and the mother. Now you got to understand what you're looking at is polarity here. This is sacred geometry. One bring about two, which brings about duality. With three is completion. So this will equal completion of a whole. So this is you, the child that's in you, the father that's in you, and the mother that's in you. When I say you have the right and left hemisphere, these will be the two hemispheres. This is consciousness, here the pure consciousness. So now, I told you our exercises is very strenuous. We have to do a lot of work. We don't just pray. We don't just meditate like these people. Like if you see a regular person sitting, we have to hold medicine balls. So I tell you, mine is very powerful and it hurts because I'm on a higher level. But this demonstrates right here. You see how he holds two medicine balls? You see how he's on his toes and on his knees, and he don't bend his arm for maybe an hour. He stays like that just to give to the ancestor right here, which is his higher self. He's giving himself to himself. What he's doing, he ate. He takes his physical food now, and when you hold those balls, you feed it to your higher selves. You're going to lose energy, but then your higher self takes it, and it gets light. It becomes alive now. You can see it more. And then it trickles back down to you, and you become young. Your organs get healed, and you become renewed. As you can see, our practice renders us to always do it. That's the stance right here, as you can see. He's holding two rods in his hands, the two rods right there, and he's squeezing them very tight, and he stands with one foot forward. The foot that stands forward is the side your heart is on because it changed the vibratory frequency as he focused on the 0-point gravity. This now starts a magnetic field around his whole body. This magnetic field collect what we call solar logos. These is what's in the light right here. These little animals, these little creatures. You got devis in the circles. And so your job is to capture them and put them and be controller of them. This is you right here, with your higher self. But you're under the zodiac influence of these animals. They control the physical body. But once you get control of your higher self, you control your lower self, which is the lower animals here. You have a God. He's right above your head. His name is Best. You see him up there? This is who we represent. Not no pretty God. This is our God right there. He's showing you who his God is. Best. You understand? That's who we represent. With the crocodile on the bottom, representing ignorance, Amenti. You defeat death. The crocodile is where you go to be reincarnated. Everybody's going into the crocodile. The crocodile is in the moon. It's just a big mouth that's going to come and take your astral body, suck it and eat it. You won't feel nothing. It feels like sex. Everything in that world is opposite. Here you feel pain. There you feel sex. Now, once it eats you, you disappear or you go through the lessons of the moon. You reincarnate in a physical form. Those are for people who don't make it. But you can see he made it because he's stepping on the crocodile. So he conquered the zodiacs and he conquered his lower self. Here, this picture demonstrates the underworld. This is what happens in the underworld first. You're being carried around by spirits. You're not on something. I mean, you're not literally walking. You're not flying. Something is carrying you. You see them? This is the dead on the bottom carries us around. This is us on the human plateau. And this is him killing his lower self for his higher self. With the air and the light have these little beings in it. This is what's in the light, chakras. These little beings that guide you and tell you what to do. And so this is his higher self. See the dragon up here, the god up here? Male, female, both sides of one person. That's who you are. And you're fighting for dominion over who you are. These is the highest selves right here. See the chakras? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of those. That's your chakras. Okay. Now, as you can see, everybody's in a relationship with their higher self. This is still one person, him and his higher self. They're in a relationship. That's why it says in Corinthians, your body is the temple and you're not supposed to defile it, have anybody touch your body. As you can see, this is how we worship. This is how our ancestors do it. We don't do regular sit-there yoga. Those is for novices, people who don't know. Our science work, this is how you get power. I'll spell it again, Power. Activation of your magnetic field. To receive, you have to give. Our ancestors knew that, so they gave. They gave a lot of themselves every day. And this made them have a magnetic power strong, a very strong magnetic field. It resonated not only from their body, but it also resonated from their third eye, their Uranus. So this is our exercise. It's replicated through our father by making us suffer. This is equivalent to suffering. But back then, they didn't have systems like we had, so they had to induce their own suffering. And that's how they suffered, and with that they get great powers. This is the basics of our yoga, this regular asana sitting position. As you can see, this is a regular person, a black man doing it, or the first beginners of it. Now, in it, you see where he accumulates? On the bottom. This is where he accumulates. This is what you accumulate. Let me see if I could get rid of that. These symbols right here at the bottom. You see the symbols? These come back to your body as blinds. These come back in your eyes as squigglies. You get these. These ain't words. These is instructions. These is your maps. These is your other worlds. These is what you're accumulating all in your eyes. I could show you and prove you. Our science is different. It's nothing like what people think. This is the whole instruction. And he accumulated all he had to accumulate, these symbols. You see the one eye right here? This is God. This is the journey up that he has to take. You will see always a magnetic field, a half sphere. These things is the journey up, with the higher self being up here, the wings. You see the wings? The wings is saying that he extended out his body using these symbols, and here's the head at the top. You see him up there at the top? He became the head now, Golgotha. How this is true? Remember this symbol that I tell you now, and that he's ascending out of self, because you will understand these are all these symbols is part of the journey. These is instructions. These is not words. They took instructions and they took it to words. You would know it if you're from that genetic, what they mean. All of them is just something you do. See the circle in each one? Everyone have a circle. You see the half boat? The half boat is the magnetic field. If you do meditations right, get yourself a rocking chair. Sit in your rocking chair and meditate. Your rocking chair is going to start rocking by itself. Or just sit in it and it'll start rocking if you're meditating right. The lines underneath the rock, the half boat symbolizes a magnetic field. You do the right way, and you will be floating like over the magnetic field. Your gravity will take away. And I could do it for you right now if you don't believe me. Real talk. Now, these are the journeys. These are different worlds through the Ankh. You go to different worlds, higher worlds. You see the zodiac animals, then you see the higher worlds where we are, where we assume other beings. Okay. Here you go is a perfect picture of it so you understand it now. Your body when you're sleeping, your magnetic field drops, and you start entering these other worlds. These are the parallels. The boat being how you journey through the magnetic field. The magnetic field will be the blue. The blue represents the magnetic field. They're in the magnetic field, the air. As you can see now, when I told you about the sphere and the wing, look where it's coming through his nose and mouth, through his ba and his ka. That's how you leave your body, through the disc. See the wings that was across his chest? Now you see it symbolizes to leave. He left. With those symbols I was showing you in this picture over here. Now you understand what it means? They go the same wings. But the wings are straight across now. So you see this is the whole thing. Hold on. Not bad. Let me see. I'm losing myself. Okay. There we go. Now, same wing. But now you're going to see it sideways. I mean a temporary leave. Excuse me. The temporary leave now is what you're seeing here. You see how he got one wing, one disc over his face, right into his nose and mouth, the breath in the bar. As he leaves, he's under meditation. You understand? Sleeping, you could say. And his magnetic field let up, and this is the different levels of himself. Smaller beings. Ran by, you see Capricorn right here, the goat. All of this is your astral, depending on what dimension, what's your sign, all of this, it has something to do with it. As you can see, there's two worlds. There's a parallel to every world. So everything in one world that is this way is opposite in the other world. So you got to understand there is an opposite. It's not the same, not even more realistically. Laws is opposite. And this is what they mean by as above, so below. So you see, it has a real meaning once you get to understand these spheres. These spheres that surround it, the tree. And that's controlled by the planets. The sphere is inside your body that you're looking at, these trees. So, let's look at your different bodies. These are your different bodies. If you look, you come down, you got your first body, your physical body. See it over here? Condensed body. Then next come your ethereal body. You see it right there? A body over it. Then after that come your astral body. You see it? And I can't read from there. Then you got your lower mental body up here. This one up here. This body. Then you see over here your higher self. Casual body. You see the rest of your bodies all the way up. You even got angel. So, once you understand the system, you'll know between each one of these bodies that you have is a gatekeeper. These is the gatekeeper I tell you about, and you have to face a gatekeeper before you go over into the next body. Whatever you're facing in this world is just the first test. It's going to keep repeating itself. You're going to repeat yourself like the Twilight Zone until you get this first one right. When you get the first one right, your life will change up into the second body. When you do that for a while, everything starts repeating itself. You notice your life get boring and repeat itself. It's time you're up here now and about to lead to the next body. Once you complete that, you live in a new life now. Everything changes for you. So with leaving each body, you start a new chapter in your life, with eventually you becoming very spiritual. As you can see, up here is the Buddha field. I told you about the Buddha field. Up here, there ain't no problems no more. Everything is good. And that's where I was at. I told you about it. And then where you got after that, the atomic field. I told you about the subatomic world. Everything is subatomic. So you have atomic body like adamant. That's what I'm telling you. And then after that, you leave through the subatomic into the solar world, through the sun. So you become what's called the solar angel. That's where the angels is at. That's where the beings is at. You are that. That's the monad and the what we call at the top the solar logos, the end, where you become pure spirit, God of the white. So this is what's replicated in the story of a reading of the Emerald Tablet. So you to understand yourself, you got two eyes. Where you see your two eyes, you got one eye of the moon, one eye of the sun. One is Horus, one is Thoth. You see how your two eyes is not the same one eye? It's one eye apiece, two different energies altogether. As I say, the left eye of Thoth, the right eye of Ra, the eyes of Horus. Horus is the middle mediator, or you see Kundalini right here, the Caduceus, or you could say the Ankh. But it connects the two eyes. The two flowers is the eyes. This is how your eyes look. It catches light at angles, 45-degree angle. So you could catch a being. You could catch a being. Oops. Through your eyes, from like this little box right here, and it beams just by the white part of your eye, because that's the shape that's in your eye. You can't see it. Look flat and matted, but it's not. The whole thing is shown here. As you can see, we have the left brain and the right brain, two different sides of the brain, and they work off of the same energy as the Sephiroth, and everything is. I'm just giving you a quick overview. If you want lessons on this, I could give you one-on-one. All this work now with your physical body like this. Let me see. The universal force, it comes down as a spiral into your crown, and you have it come to your sacrum. This is why I tell you a lot of people, if you're not fully connected till you're 33 years old, if you study the sacrum bone, it don't connect. So when this comes down, it stops until you hit 33 years old. You got to disconnect right now. So once disconnected 33, then this whole energy is complete, and it goes back down into the earth force. This science is more important than medical anything. This is your whole life right here. This is serious that you don't understand because they don't want us to learn this. So you see the navel where we push out our chi energy, that's where it comes in and goes from. It's like our breathing. We breathe prana through here too. So it's very important for you to understand these symbols. This is what's inside your body, and if you don't understand your psychic and physical expressions of yourself, you won't be able to see what's going on. All right, what's this one? The third eye exercise. Focus until 2 becomes 3 and 3 becomes 1. So let me see if I can pull this up. There you go. Focus on 2 until 2 becomes 3 and 3 become 1. This is chakras. This is what you're supposed to be looking into the light to see. This. And you're supposed to see the circle inside the circles. You stare at that and you activate. You see the one eye in the center of it? That's the one eye right there in the center. And you're going to be able to make this 1, 2, 3. But the thing is to make it all one. Then you got it. I could go on into this because it's all connected. This all connects to your body. Every part of it. You could take screenshots of this, or if you want me to send you. All of this is, look at your hand. Every part of your hand is where the nerves is at. It's all connected. Everything is connected. So through Kundalini, you learn all the different parts of your body, how they're connected to different things, and synchronicity start flowing into your life through this Caduceus. It's the same as your scrotum, your right and left scrotum. You see the same picture. You know what I took LSD and saw universe in the crystal. It is in there. What are you talking about? You ain't need LSD to see that. It's in the crystal. It hypersphere synchronization, Monroe. Yeah, everybody got their name. But you see the wings right here, the same wings that's on the coffin. This is the energy. If you want to see it more detailed so you can see what it look like, it's in our DNA. This is the flow of our DNA right here. You see how it formed that same pattern? It flows in the same pattern with all the circles too. You see the circles? It's very important for us to understand this because that's what we're really made of. Now, you see the Ankh, what it means right here? This is now female and male joined to become the Ankh. You see how it is? Male. This stands for intelligence and female. Alpha, Omega. They come together and form the Ankh. That's why I said you have to balance out your two principles. Your men have to be more intuitive with their women's side, and women have to be intuitive with their more men's side. I'm still on it, and my house is dirty, and I see entities trying to lay its head. That's right, Kwabra Rael. You're supposed to see all that. That's normal. Get used to it. It's the future right here. I'll talk to you about that later. But you see now how the symbol is? This is the symbol, and this is your genetics. This is your DNA. It's not coincidence. You know, you're taking this too simple. This is more important than anything. And when you go into astral, imagine this symbol, and it'll take you. This is keys in there. This is inside of you. That's why you see it still in the genetics, how it looks. Now you see that this is a tree of life. You see the genetic symbol, how it crosses. All of these is chakras. This became our designs in life. We don't know where these designs come from, but I'm putting you on. This came from our chakra in our inside body. Now, look, these is the two scrotums, woman, ovaries, men's, their thing. And so it's in your body the same way. These is the Devis that control you, that control your perception. These is the gatekeepers, what we call gatekeepers, that's inside, different perceptions. We all start off in our root chakra when we awaken. Aside from that, we're kids. But we're being told what to do until we enter or become conscious. Then we have to face each Devi, and each one give us new consciousness of ourselves. And our job is to get up here to the top. And you can see you look more like this, the sun. You see they got the sun and the moon, how important these three things is? That's the three again. The three is one. So this energy, it flows through your whole body in the form of a snake. It flows through light as the form of a snake. It's universal. It's not like something that is exclusive to just one person. It's a universal system with every zodiac connected to a different part of your body. You see how each one is connected to you in some form or way or fashion in your body? They're all connected to you. These control your endocrinology system. You see how the zodiac controls it? And that's all they control is your organs. So they control your thoughts. Here again you see the same design. You're starting to see what chakras is. The circle with the small little circles in it. Circles, circles, circles. Start imagining that in your astral, and you change your astral to you healing your body. See the Sephiroth is in there? This is all ancient stuff that we don't look at. You see the circles, the rings? I rep the rings, and that's why I tell you it's important for you to understand these things. This is how your body works, DNA works, as you can see. And it's always positive and negative in one circle. Always in one circle. What's causing your face to dry out and get itchy? That's because you're going through the cold. Spirit is cold. When you encounter spirits, you're going to get a cool sensation in the room, wind blowing. Once you're into that, you entered the halls of Amenti. You're in spirit world. So that's why you're getting those. Now here you can see it's the same thing. Look at the sun is in the center, like that cube. And you can see this is our world down here. And your job is to be the magician. When you become the magician, you can connect all your Sephiroth, your chakras. And once you connect all your chakras, all these worlds is available to you up here. And you become the angel. You see how the solar angels in all pictures play the same position, and then you up here at the top as the Most High? You see, nothing changes. It's a universal system that everybody knows, man. Only one who don't know it is the ignorant or the people who want to make up their own doctrines. But everything is already laid out and mapped out. All you got to do is follow it. If you look, this is how your DNA coils. And if you look at the coil of the DNA, it still forms these patterns just like how you see the shapes of dodecahedra. Every shape is inside of this one coiling, these different turns that forms your the circles is one of the discs that you see from the Egyptians. So you get to understand what the disc is. They're looking at your DNA from a top view, and that top view actually is what we're riding through. So this is how the energy flows through your body, through your scrotums. One goes this way, one goes that way to give you a toroid. The toroid now makes you a magnet. This magnet is connected to Agatha, the inner earth inside of you, which is connected to the Akash records. So by you being this magnet, you're able to tap into the holographic records of everything in creation that's in the inner earth, that's in Agatha. So by you able to tap in using your macabre, this body, it resonates up and down, but it's also spinning. This is what your macabre is. You understand? So you see how the Sephiroth now fit over your body? You have Keter up here at your head. These are the different planets. Remember I showed you the planets? Well, this has influence over your body too as well, as you can see. You see? It forms these magnetic fields. You're being controlled through magnets. Now these beings, as you can see, this forms the Nazca lines. These beings right here is who they are. This is them right here. You will see them as universal worlds. This is a world. As you go into here, it's a dimension. You can look at, say, you live in the monkey. We're in the monkey. That's a dimension. Each one of these is a different dimension that all ancestors seen cavemen do these, and everybody knew them. You also get these as squigglies in your eyes. These will come in your eyes too. As you can see, here they are in person, the real shit right here. So they're showing you dimensions. These humans don't do these. It's the same as the crystals. Most of them form themselves. It's in nature. It's holographic. So it's naturally there. Now, as you can see, the man's body is right over it. This is who you are. Damn, 1 second, sorry. Alright, this is who you are. You see, you form a little sphere in everything. They have influence over you. As you can see, that's like you in the middle, and everything is influenced over you. So these is what these symbolizes. You see chakras? These is what's called chakras. You see the same circles? This is not coincidence that they look like these circles inside circles. This is what you call a chakra. I want you to get familiar with it, because I show it to you in the Kundalini book. You're going to see a target. So you're looking for a target. These symbolizes the same as those symbols before that we see in our body. The cross lines is the magnetic field coming down. I'm just putting you on to how our body works. The one eye is God, always the left side. And these are the beings. You see the crocodile, and these is the jokester. On them, they're wearing the chakras. If we count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 circles. That's the 7 chakras right there coming down. So he's showing you the chakras. This is on your body. And you see who attaches to your spine? That crocodile. When it's time for you to go, he's going to extract you through your spine. You ain't going nowhere. You have to leave through your spine. You have to go through him. So once he do that, this is reincarnation. You're stuck in the moon, and reincarnation occurs. Now, these is how we are in our other worlds. We come from worlds where we're actually half human, half creatures. And a lot of us assume that. And if you're first person in these worlds, you don't know that you're a creature. You think you're human when you're not. Alright? These is actually the symbols that you collect. These is gifts that you receive while you spiritually doing what you're supposed to do. Alright, am I going backwards? Alright, so we see here's the 2 snakes, Ida and Pingala, male, female. You can see the phallus straight, and this the vagina, the V. You could always determine for yourself which is the female, because she'll have the V in it. See, in the circles there, and the males will be the phallus. So here you get the symbology of what's inside your body, the two energy that forms the snake, Kundalini. You understand? And see, always in the middle forms you, the dragon. That's who you are. Kundalini forms a dragon. So you are the dragon in there. And you see in there, he has a chakra, always a chakra. I show your chakra. Chakra give you access between two worlds. And so if you understand the sign, you understand in the Emerald Tablet, you understand in our ancestors, the true ways of our ancestors that's hidden, that they don't explain it to people. Hold on, let me get back to this. As you can see here, this is the same picture. The lines signify she's in the magnetic field. She's in both worlds. And she's actually under meditation. If you look at her here, it forms the actual DNA symbol. This is the DNA symbol, meaning that she's in her higher self. And she's pondering upon, the spirit world. Look what she's looking at. The one eye. You see? The eye goes straight across. She's in the other world. This is the other world. I told you about the boat. You always see this with the half boat. This is the magnetic field underneath the two lines, and this is what you actually ascend on. This also, when you're looking at the spirit world, this is also a being. See one eye here, one eye here. You see the big smile. This is your chin. This is how it works. Alright. So here is the same thing. You see the snake, Kundalini activates, you see the chakras, and you go into other worlds. It's the same thing, always. So you just understand, here's the dragon or the goat. You see the actual DNA symbol again right here. This means DNA. Whenever you see that curve, that's what they're telling you. The lines mean, this is the lion, Sakmet. Oh, it's the same thing. Only thing now, she's in a different dimension. This will represent the constellation of Rigel. As you can see, the magnetic field is the lines. Whenever you see these lines, it's in the magnetic field. Then they know what they're doing. So I'm going to go back now to the Emerald Tablet, because I wanted to show y'all actually what's going on. So you know our world is a different world. It's not the same. And so you see chakras right here. This is a chakra. But this is actually a community, the inner circle of an ancient African tribe. And they had the people live out here on the outside, the peasants. Animals couldn't come in. Only the kings and the elite live on the inside. But this is where you get all the culture's version of the inner and the outer circle of life. You understand? This is our regular indigenous people's picture right here. I don't know if you want to see it. You see the huts? That's how they lived, in the huts and the inner circle. Animals and other stuff come out here, and the different classes live in different sections, but everybody's on the outskirts now. So this is our ancestors' way. What that says? Okay, that's nothing. Alright. So, inside of you, you have two of yourself. You got your higher self and your Devi self. Both of this is one person inside. So you got to understand, this is who you are. You have this in you. Let me see something. I was going to get into more of how you could see Kundalini representation. They started using them in pictures to represent our genetics, and these is the chakras and the moon and everything, how we travel. This is in our body. As you can see, it's represented in many different forms. Here it is. You see the chakra. This is the spiral that represents chakras and the energy of it. You see it again? As above, so below. This is a chakra. That's what a chakra is. So if you never know what it looked like, you see it. Alright. When you see how it comes into your head and it goes down your body, this is how it looks. Coming through your crown. And you project it through your pineal, through your imagination and thoughts. But you see how everything crisscrosses. It has to keep crisscrossing. Again, these are the different bodies in one human being. So yeah, you see for yourself, you have many bodies. Alright, so let's get back to some of the reading real quick so I could explain now what's going on. But that's just a little lesson. Let's look at these crystals too. Isn't this beautiful? This is my peanut butter and cream crystal right here. See how beautiful this is? Right? And this is a new one that I just made up. This is incredible right here. You see the pictures on it? The images on it? This is incredibly beautiful. And this is the icy version of it. You see how it's crystalled out? You want to see an even icier one. We got them in like this big chunks. It's all iced out. And let me see. Even this style, this look is like this is a different type of style. You didn't really see this style before. It's like out of wood and then this crystal white. I call it from the god of the white line, and then it's half brown and half crystal, but it looks really pretty when you see it. It's glistening too. So, anyways, let's get back to this now. I got another piece. I like these. You know, but I got the new style. I'm working like, you know, just putting them regular. These is like regular sizes. Oh, excuse me. And this granddaddy. Look at this. This is beautiful. So we got different styles and got pictures on them, as you can see. You see the images in it, you know. So, and this is the female. You see how this is shaped? It's bugged out. Look at this. They came together as a pair. This is the female and this is the male. Look at that. It's a set. But anyways, let's get back to this. Alright. We was at the point he was saying, nor I desire, but I attained of wisdom until of a great day that the command came from me to the dweller of the temple that I be brought before him. Few there were among the children of men who had looked upon that face and lived. For not as the sons of men are they the children of light, when they are not incarnate in a physical body. Chosen was I from the sons of man, taught by the dweller so that his purpose might be fulfilled. Purpose yet unborn in the womb of time. And you have to understand that's very important, because he's acknowledging there is a higher being beside Thoth himself. And he says, chosen was I from the sons of men, taught by the dweller. And that's what he calls him, the dweller. You know, we call him God or whatever, the Lord. I don't know, Allah. But he calls him the dweller. He says, taught by the dweller so that his purpose might be fulfilled. So there is an unknown purpose that we all don't know. His purpose is unborn in the womb of time. So when they say it's unborn in the womb of time, it's this purpose we don't understand and don't know that exists, but it's really, we're playing it out. So he said, long ages I dwelt in the temple, learning ever and yet even more wisdom, until I too approached the light emitted from the great fire. Taught me he the path of Amenti, the underworld where the great king sits upon his throne of might. So you got to realize there's a throne. There's somebody who sits as a ruler over us. And that's who he learned, who taught him. And so the throne is everything. Like, you know, if you read in Revelation, that's what John or whatever said. He saw the throne and he saw the beast around the throne, and they was all saying, holy, holy, holy. Same thing Ezekiel said. He saw the man on the throne. And here you get Thoth saying about the man on the throne too. So everybody know the man on the throne is real. That's why you see Abraham Lincoln sitting with himself on the throne. This is symbology, saying that he's the ruler of this world, which is the underworld. All right. Now, taught me he the path of Amenti, the underworld. And that you got to realize that's another world. It's opposite this world, where the king sits upon his throne of might. Deep I bowed in homage before the Lord of life and the lords of death, receiving as my gift the key of life. So there is a Lord of life and there's a Lord of death. And you got to realize they're in control of everything. And so by just reading that, a deep I bowed in homage before the Lords of life and Lords of death, we just chosen to incarnate in this body, but the spirits that control everything. This is the metaphysical aspect of what he's saying. So he said, free was I of the halls of Amenti, bound not by death to the circle of life. Far to the stars I journeyed until space and time became a naught. So when he says, free was I of the halls of Amenti, so he finished, you could say, his training. This, I think, 76 degrees of training to the highest level. And once you finish, you become immortal. A mentee don't serve no purpose for you. You come and go as you want, as he's talking. So that's to become a high level mystic. So he says, free was I of the halls of Amenti, bound not by death to the circle of life. See, that's us in our desire. Desire renders you to not just the circle of life, but to time. Time is only linear in the sense of you're the one repeating yourself in a circle. He said, far to the stars I journeyed until space and time became nothing to me. Then having drunk deep of the cup of wisdom, I looked into the hearts of men, and there found I great mysteries and was glad. For only in the search of truth could my soul be stilled and the flame within be quenched. So right here he's telling you, as he spiraled through endless time or the abyss, only thing that could stop his soul and actually make him do something is something that actually needs his attention, that needs help, his teaching, something. And so he found it in humans. And that's what he says. I looked into the hearts of men, and there I found a greater mystery, and I was glad. So now he has something to do. So he said, for only in search of truth could my soul be still. So it's in search of truth, and we was living a lie. So it's now his soul stopped to actually do something, to see what his father wants. So he said, for only in the search of truth could my soul be still